I hope, as far as I remember, I had interacted with this batch earlier also. Yeah, I came once. I think some new students has been added to this batch. Clear? So I had interacted with this batch earlier as well for almost 1 hour. Clear? And at that time, we had discussed some historical topics from geographical perspective. If I'm right, clear? Fine. So I can recognize some of you. No, today I have been asked to discuss important topics of post-independent era from the perspective of political geography. Clear? And in post-independent era, we'll be discussing about the first major topic, which is important from the perspective of political geography. The topic is integration of the princely states. Clear? Now, just understand the concept first of all. We need to understand. I'll dictate. Don't worry. Clear? So first major topic is integration of princely states because that resulted into complete and demarcated boundary of India after India's independence. Clear? So that may be helpful for political geography as well. First of all, you need to understand that when India became an independent nation in 1947, the whole Indian territory was broadly divided into two components. Clear? The first component was those territories that became independent directly from British Crown. Clear? And at the same time, another category comprised of large number of independent states being ruled by native princes of India or native rulers of India. And at that time, there were as many as 565 princely states. Clear? All these princely states, most of them being contiguous with boundaries of India, needed to be properly integrated to give a sense of political unification to this large country. Clear? And at that time, it became very challenging for leaders of India because as per British declaration, all those princely states were asked technically either to join with Indian Union or to join with Union of Pakistan. And at the same time, if they wanted to remain independent, they could remain independent as well. Clear? Since this choice was given to the princely states to remain independent as well, many of them decided to remain independent. That is, not to get integrated either with India or with Pakistan. But that could not have completed the sense of unification to this country. And therefore, the task to unify large number of contiguous princely states to Indian Union was taken over by independent India's first Home Minister, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, also known as the Iron Man of India, supported by a very able administrator and his secretary, V.P. Menon. Clear? He was Secretary of Home Department. He was basically from Malabar region, contributed significantly towards integration of those princely states. Now, how this process was started by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel to give a sense of unification to this large country. Clear? He followed a definite strategy, the strategy being known as persuasion cum pressure. Now, we need to understand this strategy. Clear? This strategy of persuasion cum pressure meant that first of all, the rulers of princely states were to be peacefully persuaded. Clear? And if all measures of persuasion failed, certain elements of pressure was also to be applied because now it was a matter of political unification of this country. Clear? So it was not only a peaceful method. At the outset, we need to understand it even included some item or some elements of coercion, some elements of force to integrate large number of princely states with Indian Union. This strategy was adopted, and by following this strategy, most of the princely states easily got integrated with India because even in pre-independent era, most of these princely states had expressed the desire that they wanted to integrate with Indian Union, and they integrated the struggle with Indian Union or with national movement during Quit India movement of 1942. So it was not a tough task. Most of the princely states got integrated, but some of the outlying princely states proved it to be challenging and they outrightly refused to get integrated with India. And that gave a huge challenge to leaders of India. Clear? Some of them being the most prominent, including province of Kashmir. Clear? At the same time, another princely state being the princely state of Sikkim. Very important and sensitive. And the most powerful princely state being Hyderabad. Clear? So we need to understand how these sensitive princely states got integrated with India in post-independent era. Clear? First of all, understand about the history of Kashmir in post-independent phase. Clear? Kashmir at that time was an independent princely state being ruled by Maharaja Hari Singh. Clear? He was ruling as an independent monarch, and he made it very clear that he will not get integrated either with Pakistan or with India. In this context, two different types of proposals were given by leaders of India. These two major proposals are known as, first of all, standstill agreement, and second is known as document being known as instrument of accession. Clear? So first of all, we need to understand the concept of standstill agreement. Clear? As per the concept of standstill agreement, it was made clear that pre-existing arrangement that was existing with British authority in the princely state, as per Government of India Act 1935, will continue to exist. Clear? Meaning thereby some major matters like foreign affairs, defense, and communication could be looked by another authority. Otherwise, autonomy was not to be affected. Clear? This was mentioned in the Government of India Act 1935. Another was instrument of accession, whereby by signing this agreement, the princely state was to formally and effectively integrated with Indian Union. Initially, Maharaja Hari Singh was in dilemma. The dilemma was maximum number of people in Kashmir were Islamic people, and most of them were basically siding with Pakistan. Clear? So Maharaja Hari Singh went forward and signed a standstill agreement with Pakistan, and he expressed the desire to sign the same agreement with India also, meaning thereby he wanted certain matters to be given to Pakistan, but internal autonomy to be retained under his own command. Clear? When such a standstill agreement came into being, large number of people in Kashmir, they began to protest because they wanted to get integrated with Pakistan. And under such circumstances, the Pathan tribesmen from Pakistan began to attack Kashmir. They began to enter Kashmir from the western side in large numbers. Clear? At this critical time, Maharaja Hari Singh asked for assistance from Government of India. Now, Indian government made it stand very clear that until and unless Kashmir becomes an integral part of India, India cannot support Kashmir against Pakistani aggression. And under such circumstances, Maharaja Hari Singh signed instrument of accession directly, bypassing the standstill agreement with India. Instrument of accession with Government of India on 26th of October 1947. And with this instrument of accession, Kashmir became an integral part of Indian Union in this country or in 1947. This was one development, but story did not came to an end. Pakistan went on hammering India in post-independent era, and in course of the war that took place in 1948 to take away the whole Kashmir, Pakistani forces entered up to large parts of interior Kashmir, and this war was ended by Jawaharlal Nehru through intermediation of United Nations. Clear? And United Nations wanted immediate ceasefire to be established between India and Pakistan and Kashmir. And the point till Pakistani forces had entered, the line was declared to be the ceasefire line between India and Pakistan. In this way, large parts of Western Kashmir came under the control of Pakistan, which was declared as Pakistan Occupied Kashmir or POK. The status remains to be even now at the same time there, and large parts of Kashmir became integral part of India. This ceasefire line was converted into line of control after 1971 war, when Shimla Agreement was concluded between Indira Gandhi and General Ayub Khan. Clear? General Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. This development took place in 1972. Even now, this line is known as line of control. Is that clear? Yeah, you wanted to ask something. I'll let you know. Clear? This much is clear, first of all. Okay. Now, what is the difference between LOC and LAC? Line of control. That is the line that we are discussing right now that exists in Kashmir between India and Pakistan. This is the actual boundary line between India and Pakistan right now in Kashmir. What do you mean by LAC? Line of actual control. Clear? This line is basically a line that exists between India and China. Clear? And this line is a line that exists in the northeastern part of Kashmir, the region of Ladakh, where large parts of this region is under Chinese control, known as Aksai chain. Clear? This line that divides Aksai chain in Kashmir that comes under China is known as line of actual control. Clear? And this is line of actual control you need to understand from ground level. Clear? It is a demilitarized line, meaning thereby large area is left vacant. And with this vacant line, on one side, there are large concentration of Chinese forces, and on the other side, there's large concentration of Indian forces. In between, there's a large blank area left to avoid any direct face-to-face encounter. Clear? In LOC, this phenomena is not there. Therefore, face-to-face fighting takes place between India and Pakistan. But this face-to-face fighting does not take place across line of actual control because huge blank area has been left to avoid direct encounter between Indian and Chinese forces. Clear? This is line of actual control. So in this way, Kashmir became an integral part of Indian Union, and till now, large parts of POK still remains actually under the control of Pakistan. This process completed the process of Kashmir's integration to Indian Union after India's independence. Clear? So it was not challenging at that time. It became challenging later on when Pakistan went on hammering India continuously at least till 1965. Clear? Now, one question arises. Clear? That why Pakistan, being such a small country with limited resources, had this courage to attack India continuously. 1948 also, aggression led by Pakistan. 1965 also, it started by Pakistan. Only in 1971, we started the war with Pakistan. That was the only time when we started to go against Pakistan because we wanted to liberate East Pakistan from the clutches of West Pakistan, and that was developed in form of Bangladesh. Question is primary thing to be understood. Clear? And that is important for your geography also, especially economic geography as well. Why Pakistan as a country went on hammering India continuously? In fact, it was a full-fledged war in 48 and 65. But apart from this also, they went on threatening India. Clear? What could be the reason that a small country went on hammering India, being such a large country, in fact, the largest country in South Asia? What could be the reason? Any idea? Backing of US. But US has never been a close ally. We need to understand. But demographically, we are much more rich than Pakistan. In fact, we are about to become the most important country all across the world.
But it can't engage on a very face-fronted war with India, so it has been doing this thing in micro things, like engaging in militism and engaging the resource of that area.
But hammering is, I am using the word hammering, and it's a very brutal term I'm using. Pakistan went on hammering India. Hammering means that you don't consider the other party to be serious enough. Why India was not taken seriously at that time? India is close to China. 1962. But before that, in 1948, Pakistan had already entered into Indian territory.
India signed first use.
No first use. Much later. You are talking about nuclear doctrine, 1998. Clear? Much later, when we declared ourselves to be a nuclear weapon state. See, reason I'll let you know. It's very important. Even though Pakistan is a rogue state, cannot be denied, but we were not so weak enough to just face this aggression. Why we didn't retaliate very strongly? My question is this.
Otherwise, it would have created a policy of non-alignment.
Non-alignment. Like non-alignment was with respect to Cold War phenomena. We decided not to align with any power blocks. I'll let you know, huh? You mean to say in Pakistan or in India? In Kashmir, you mean to say? My point is, huh?
Okay, at the national level, if India would have hammered Pakistan with the reciprocating terms, it would have created sympathetic case for Pakistan.
See, I'll let you know, clear. National politics, and this is the point, national policies and priorities are fixed, not on idealism. It is fixed on some hard realities, clear? And you need to understand the fundamentals of everything. The reason is, clear? Pakistan knew one thing very well, that India cannot retaliate at this time strongly. The reason being, clear? In pre-divided or pre-independent era, before India got divided, clear? Most important and fertile region of India with maximum irrigation facilities were there in Indus region, clear? Because British promoted this region, clear? And when India got divided, clear? Large fertile region went to Pakistan, and it has been estimated by scholars that 66% of the total irrigation facilities of undivided India got confined to Pakistan, clear? So Pakistan began to have surplus food grains, and that too with limited population base. On the other hand, India with large population base, maximum number of people were on verge of starvation, clear? That is why from first 5-year plan, Jawaharlal Nehru began to focus on agriculture and food security, clear? But before this could be established, Pakistan knew India cannot afford to fight a full-fledged war, because India needs to feed millions of people on verge of starvation. That is why Pakistan went on hammering India, clear? And that is why after the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri, after 1965 war, Indira Gandhi adopted a very practical approach to ensure food security. Without food security, India could not challenge either Pakistan or China. And this was started in form of packaged agrarian program in Punjab and Haryana from 1966, known as Green Revolution, clear? And since it led to food security, thereafter Indira Gandhi retaliated very strongly, not only against Pakistan, even against China. That we'll discuss with respect to integration of Sikkim, clear? It was because of fundamental problem of food security in our country. This means the major factor to be understood. And thereafter, Pakistan never dared, clear? 1999 Kargil war is totally an exception, clear? Otherwise, Pakistan never dared to hammer India, because Pakistan knew now India is well established on its feet to retaliate very strongly, clear? This was a major factor to be understood, clear? So in this sense, Indira Gandhi played an important role. In fact, the greatest enemy of Pakistan among all the Prime Minister of India has been Indira Gandhi, clear? She brought even Zulfikar Bhali Bhutto on table to discuss Shimla Agreement after disintegrating Pakistan in 1971, clear? So this was integration of Kashmir properly into Indian Union in post-independent era, which started the process of integration of princely states effectively, clear? But much more challenging than Kashmir was the province of Hyderabad. That needs to be understood. Hyderabad being not only the largest princely state area-wise, but the wealthiest princely state among all the states in India. And that too with connection at international level enjoyed by the Nizam of Hyderabad, Mir Usman Ali Khan, clear? We'll discuss about integration of Hyderabad elaborately, because that itself was a challenge for Indian leaders, especially Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, clear? Integration of Kashmir is important, is clear how it was done. Difference is clear between standstill agreement and instrument of accession, clear? At the same time, we'll come across two terms also, clear? These two terms in course of time we'll discuss is plebiscite and referendum. Is there any difference between plebiscite and referendum? What is the difference? Just the reverse. Just the reverse, clear? In fact, I'll let you know, clear? Plebiscite is government-initiated move to judge public opinion, clear? And referendum is a pure democratic tool initiated by the people themselves, clear? So the referendum is initiated by people themselves to know larger opinion, clear? And plebiscite is always initiated by government or its agencies to know opinion of public on any issue. And therefore, normally it is said that decisions of verdict of plebiscite is rather enforceable in nature. Referendum, it may be applied, it may not be applied, depending on the verdict of the people themselves, clear? So plebiscite and referendum. When Kashmir was integrated, Jawaharlal Nehru gave assurance of conducting a plebiscite in coming time, provided Pakistan retreated back from POK. Till this time, Pakistan has not retreated back from POK. Plebiscite has not been held by government of India. Is this clear? Integration of Kashmir? Clear? Write briefly about integration. Clear? Write heading as integration of the princely states. Integration of. So there are many students come in questions coming from the online center as well. Clear? Bangladesh and chicken neck. We'll come to Bangladesh and chicken neck area separately. Clear? It was not because of Chinese pressure. We had discussed because of food security. Clear? Right? Integration of princely states. Right? In order to complete the process of, political unification, in post-independent era, Indian leaders decided to unify large number of princely states. Okay? Like most of these states got integrated. As they had unified their struggle. They had unified their struggle with national movement, as they had unified their struggle with national movement in pre-independent era. Clear? Like the task of integrating the princely states was undertaken by India's first Home Minister, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, assisted by his secretary, VP Menon, very able bureaucrat. His secretary, VP Menon. Clear? Right. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel adopted the strategy of persuasion cum pressure. To integrate the princely states. Like two major documents were prepared. To ensure this process, in form of standstill agreement, and instrument of accession. Clear? Right. Some provinces proved to be challenging. Like Kashmir, Sikkim, Hyderabad, and the others also, Hyderabad, Junagadh, Junagadh, Bhopal, and Manipur. Bhopal and Manipur. Clear? Change paragraph, right? With respect to Kashmir, with respect to Kashmir, it is well known. It is well known that Pakistan wanted its integration, integration since the emergence of an acronym, Pakistan. Acronym Pakistan. Don't write I. Pakistan. Acronym Pakistan. This stands for Punjab, Afghanistan, Kashmir, Sindh, and Balochistan. Clear? This was the acronym coined to create a large Muslim country in pre-independent era. Since Pakistan included Kashmir, they considered Kashmir to be an integral part of Pakistan. Clear? So they wanted Kashmir to be integrated even before India's independence. Clear? What do you mean when we say integral part? We say Kashmir is an integral part of India. What do you mean by when we say the word integral part? Complete whole. It makes the sense of completion complete. That is, to make anything of proper identity, other parts to be added or major parts to be added. Clear? So Pakistan, right? After India's partition, the ruler of Kashmir, Maharaja Hari Singh, signed a standstill agreement. With Pakistan. And even decided to conclude it with India. Clear? Right. However, the Pathan, Maharaja Hari Singh signed in standstill agreement with Pakistan and even decided to conclude it with India. It was not signed, but decision was taken. Right. However, the Pathan tribes of Pakistan began to enter Kashmir. And out of insecurity, Maharaja Hari Singh concluded instrument of accession directly concluded instrument of accession with Indian government on 26th of October 1947. Clear? Right. Consequently, Kashmir became an integral part of Indian Union. Since we are discussing with the perspective of princely states, we'll stop here only, rather than discussing all the conflicts between India and Pakistan resulting due to Kashmir issue. Clear? Now, this was first integration, major integration by Indian leaders. Second, just understand, very important. Clear? The largest and the wealthiest princely state of India at the time was the state of Hyderabad, being ruled by Asaf Jahi dynasty. Clear? Just look into brief history. Asaf Jahi dynasty began to rule over Hyderabad since 1724. Clear? And thereafter, Hyderabad became an independent province. He was richest person, wealthiest province, in fact, richest person. Clear? Yeah, please. A standstill agreement, instrument of accession. I'll let you know again. Clear? See, just understand. Standstill agreement means that the autonomy of that province will remain intact. Clear? At the same time, certain subjects of federal character like defense, communication, foreign affairs, may be surrendered to the party with which this agreement is being signed. Clear? This concept of standstill agreement was there, is originally in Government of India Act 1935 itself. Clear? So it was a legacy of Government of India Act 1935, that is a standstill agreement. So Sardar Patel wanted to continue with the same just to avoid any suspicion in the minds of princely states. Clear? Instrument of accession was a new concept added whereby if any princely state wanted to accede to Indian Union, finally, clear, the state was supposed to sign this agreement, whereby not only autonomy, but foreign affairs, defense, communication, everything was to be decided by Indian Union. Clear? So it was basically to meant complete accession of the state with Indian Union. There's a difference between the standstill agreement and instrument of accession. Is it clear? Now coming to Hyderabad, clear? Yeah, he was the richest person. In fact, the wealthiest person, not only in Asia, even at the world level also. Clear? And this person was a member of Asaf Jahi dynasty named as Usman Ali Khan. And it's not that. He promoted several progressive measures also in Hyderabad. Clear? He promoted schools, colleges. We'll come to that. Yeah, he had his own army also. Clear? So he promoted schools, colleges, construction of roads, and even university known as Osmania University in Hyderabad. So he was considered to be a progressive ruler, very important ruler of Hyderabad. And when India became independent, he decided not to integrate either with India or with Pakistan. Rather, he wanted an independent status and even expressed desire to British monarch that Hyderabad should be included as a separate member in Commonwealth of Nations group. Clear? This organization was promoted by Britain to include all the previous colonies of Britain in Asia and Africa. Clear? So he wanted independent status in the Commonwealth of Nations group for Hyderabad. Clear? This was not an issue here. Indian government also never wanted to interfere. Clear? But large amount of financial support began to be given by Usman Ali Khan to Pakistan. Clear? 130 million pounds were given to Pakistan for economic development. That affected the sentiments of Indian leaders at this time. And this protest was started in Hyderabad by Telugu-speaking people. Hyderabad had two major linguistic groups. One was majority of Telugu-speaking people, another comprised of Urdu-speaking people, with some Marathi and Kannada-speaking people as well. Clear? So Telugu-speaking people started to protest against such drain of resources from Hyderabad, not to India, rather than directly to Pakistan. Clear? In order to deal with such protest of Telugu-speaking people, Muslim aristocracy in Hyderabad came together, because not only Nizam, large number of Muslims were also very wealthy and influential. They came together and they established a political party by themselves known as Majlis-e-Ittihad ul-Muslimin, or MIM. Clear? Based on this name only, right now there's a political party known as AIMIM, that is All India Majlis-e-Ittihad ul-Muslimin, headed by Asaduddin Owaisi. Clear? So it was Majlis-e-Ittihad ul-Muslimin, which was started by Muslim aristocracy in Hyderabad. Clear? And at the same time, they also established large military force. And this military force in Hyderabad came to be known as Razakars. Clear? So, and they all were capable horsemen, quality horses being imported from Saudi Arabia, West Asia, and these quality horses resulted into large-scale development of horsemen and military forces known as Razakars. And with Razakars, with Ittihadul Muslimin, Hyderabad wanted to ensure its independent status against any encroachment by government of India. But since rights of Telugu people began to be suppressed violently by Ittihadul Muslimin, it became responsibility of government of India to interfere. Clear? Initially, government of India deputed police forces to deal with atrocities against Telugu people. Clear? Even now, if you go into website, it's still written police action. Clear? Why we did took police action? Because we never wanted to make this issue an international issue. Because if we could have deputed armed forces, obviously it could have amounted to conflict between two separate countries, Hyderabad and Indian government. Clear? So just to make it clear that it was a domestic issue of India, we deputed police forces to Hyderabad, and still we call it as police action in Hyderabad. When police forces went from India to Hyderabad, these Indian police forces were brutally defeated by the Razakars. Clear? Since it was a great setback for government of India was forced to depute armed forces as well. Even though we deputed armed forces, but formally we have never accepted about this, we still call it to be a police action. Clear? We deputed large armed forces and conflict began between Razakars and the armed forces. Clear? But since continuous reinforcement was provided by government of India, finally Indian armed forces were able to defeat Razakars in Hyderabad. Clear? And thereafter, negotiation began between Indian government and Nizam of Hyderabad, Usman Ali Khan, from 13th of September 1948. And after 5 days of hectic negotiation, finally Nizam of Hyderabad accepted instrument of accession with government of India on 17th of September 1948. And thereafter, Hyderabad became an integral part of Indian Union. And this whole military adventure that took place, this military adventure has been codenamed by government of India as Operation Polo. Clear? Through Operation Polo, we integrated Hyderabad into Indian Union. Clear? And by this time, since Razakars were there, it's for your understanding. Clear? Barracks had been created in Hyderabad, and since large army barracks and police barracks existed in Hyderabad, in 1974, government of India even decided to transfer the Police Academy of India from Mount Abu in Rajasthan to Hyderabad, which was named as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy. Clear? This was done in 1975 under the guidance of Indian government. Integration of Hyderabad. Now, from geographical perspective, clear? Even though Hyderabad got integrated, and it is largely accepted that Indian army also perpetrated crime, innocent people were assassinated at that time in Operation Polo. Committee was constituted by Jawaharlal Nehru, known as Sundar Lal Committee, to examine all the casualties. Clear? And this committee submitted its report then only, whereby it was accepted that large-scale crime was perpetrated by Indian armed forces. The report was not made public. And for your information, this report of Sundar Lal Committee was made public recently in 2013. Clear? Just to make it clear that no major rebellion take place in Hyderabad against the accession to Indian Union. But at the same time, when Hyderabad got integrated at this time, it was only a Simandh region. Clear? Simandh region comprised of coastal regions comprising of two regions known as coastal Andhra and Rayalaseema. Clear? So coastal Andhra and Rayalaseema combined together became Simandh region or coastal region. In course of time, another interior region was added in form of Telangana. And therefore, from Simandh, it got converted into Vishal Andhra or Greater Andhra, known formally as Andhra Pradesh. Clear? So it was unified on the basis of Telugu language. But later on, we'll see Telangana wanted to get separated from Vishal Andhra. Telangana movement was started, and this separation of Telangana is totally on geopolitical reasons. Clear? We'll discuss those geopolitical reasons that led to final separation of Telangana in 2014 from Vishal Andhra or Andhra Pradesh. Clear? We'll discuss about integration of Hyderabad. Clear? Right. Next heading as integration of Hyderabad. Integration of Hyderabad. Clear? Right. The princely state of Hyderabad. The princely state of Hyderabad. State of Hyderabad was the largest and the wealthiest province of Indian subcontinent. Yeah. Like this province was ruled by Mir Usman Ali Khan, who decided to remain independent. Like in fact, he asked British monarch. To include Hyderabad in the Commonwealth of Nations group. Clear? Right. Moreover, the Nizam provided. Nations group. I hope you understand Commonwealth of Nations group.
Yes.
The group comprising of previous colonies of Britain, and sovereignty of all those countries are with British monarch. The sovereignty of all those countries are formally with British monarch. Formally. Clear? Yeah, formally. Clear? That is why formally we can say that we are not a sovereign nation state. For all practical purposes, we are a sovereign, but our sovereignty still rests with British monarch because we are a member of Commonwealth of Nations group. Yeah? We defected. We are planning. We have basically made it clear that we'll be moving out of this group. Clear? And why we have decided to make it clear? Because our sovereignty has to be formalized as well as effectively implemented. But this association of Commonwealth with Commonwealth of Nations group was explained by Jawaharlal Nehru as purely voluntary in nature. India made it clear that we are there with Commonwealth of Nations group by our own choice. We can walk away from this group anytime, and therefore effectively sovereignty rests with us. But formally speaking, it was with British Crown because all the members of Commonwealth of Nations group is headed by sovereign monarch of Britain. Hyderabad also expressed this desire in 1947. Please. Yeah, same. In fact, that is why I let you know that on the basis of this autonomy, because all these countries enjoys full autonomy, but sovereignty formally rests with British Crown. Clear? And that is why not only Australia, Canada also. Clear? These countries, their sovereignty formally rests with British Crown, even now. Clear? They are only effectively independent. Effectively, they can draft their own policies, but they have to take the name formally of British Crown. In fact, on that pattern only, we devised the concept of Swaraj for us also. In 1905, when we raised the demand for Swaraj by Dadabhai Naoroji, we demanded the same concept. We wanted autonomy. We never wanted complete independence from British rule. We demanded complete independence much later in 1929 during Lahore session. Clear? That was another thing. So initially, we also wanted the same thing for India. Dadabhai Naoroji demanded the same thing. And effectively speaking, we became a sovereign nation state in 1947. To be more specific, from 1950, when Constitution came into force. Clear? But formally speaking, till the time India remains to be a member of Commonwealth of Nations group, formal sovereignty will be there with British Crown. Clear? Then what was the logic to get integrated with Commonwealth? Why we wanted to remain with Commonwealth? We could have walked also initially in 1947 only. Why we wanted to go with Commonwealth of Nations? These are basic questions.
Because the leader realized that the the setup that was set by Britishers would be beneficial for setting up a nation like India. Because India on its own was not able to set up a.
But that has already been done through all the major legislations like Government of India Act 1919 and 1935. Those had been done. It was basically because of two reasons. The reason was that still Britain was considered to be a very powerful country all across the world. And through Britain, we wanted to promote our bilateral and multilateral affairs. This is one thing. Second thing, Britain at that time made an assurance that all the members who were previous colonies of Britain will be provided with financial assistance to ensure rapid economic development. Clear? This was the primary reason that even India wanted to remain with Commonwealth of Nations group, and it cannot be denied. Clear? Britain provided large assistance to India primarily to fund social sector schemes in order to proceed or accelerate socio-economic development. Those funds are also known as ODA funds, Official Development Assistance Funds. There are two countries that provides ODA funds to India. Britain provided for social sector schemes, and Japan provides India for infrastructural growth and development. Clear? So ODA fund, just because of this, we wanted to remain. But anyway, officially speaking, we were not sovereign, but practically speaking, we were free to draft our own foreign policy. So practically speaking, we were completely sovereign. Clear? This concept needs to be understood. So India remained to be a member of Commonwealth of Nations group. Hyderabad also expressed desire to become member of Commonwealth of Nations group. Clear? Like moreover, the Nizam provided huge financial assistance, to Pakistan, provided huge financial assistance to Pakistan that offended Indian government, and even the Telugu speaking people, of Hyderabad. Yeah? Right? These people under the leadership of Ramanand Tirth, these people, Telugu speaking people, under the leadership of Ramanand Tirth, started Vande Mataram movement. Clear? Some students are asking about this movement. Clear? So Vande Mataram movement. Clear? Right? The Nizam of Hyderabad began to take action against the Vande Mataram movement, with help of a political party, Majlis Ittihadul Muslimin, MIM, Majlis Ittihadul Muslimin, MAJ, Majlis Ittihadul Muslimin. Right now we have a political party named after this. Majlis Ittihadul Muslimin. And military force of Razakars. Clear? Right? MIM, Majlis Ittihadul Muslimin, MIM, comprised of Majlis Ittihad ul Muslimin. I'll let you know. Clear? Majlis basically means assembly. Some countries have the parliament named as Majlis. Iran's parliament is known as Majlis. Majlis basically means assembly, that is coming together of large number of people. Yeah, Majlis is an Urdu word. Clear? Majlis is basically coming together of large number, assembly. Ittihad ul Muslimin, that is for the betterment of Muslim community. Clear? So coming together of Muslim aristocracy for the betterment of Muslim community. It's known as Majlis Ittihad ul Muslimin. When it's AIMIM, it's All India Majlis Ittihad ul Muslimin. Even though it does not have any sense of pan-India character, it's still confined only to Hyderabad. Clear? So it's Majlis Ittihad ul Muslimin. Right? MIM comprised of Muslim aristocracy, who sponsored and promoted, capable horsemen or razakars, capable horsemen or razakars, clear? Right? These razakars began to suppress the students and professionals, supporting the Vande Matra movement, Clear? But consequently, Indian government deputed police force against razakars, but these forces were defeated. Yeah. Like even though Indian government formally continued with, right, within inverted comma, formally continued with police action, right, within inverted comma, formally continued with police action, comma, effectively deputed armed forces, that led to huge casualty, Clear? Right. In order to examine the violence, Jawaharlal Nehru constituted Sundar Lal Committee. No, different person. Clear? Constituted Sundar Lal Committee. It was a mixed faith committee. Members of all religions were included. Clear? Constituted Sundar Lal Committee. Sundar Lal Pathak Committee. It's formally known as Sundar Lal Committee. Clear? Sundar Lal Committee. Right. At the same time, with continuous reinforcement, Indian armed forces defeated. With continuous reinforcement. I hope you understand reinforcement. With continuous reinforcement, Indian armed forces defeated the razakars. And after several rounds of negotiations, Usman Ali Khan signed Ali Khan signed. Instrument of Accession. Usman Ali Khan signed Instrument of Accession with Indian government. With Indian government on 17th of September. On 17th of September, 1948. 1948. 17th of September, 1948. Right. However, Hyderabad came into prominence once again. Due to the demand for linguistic reorganization of states. This is important for political geography. Demand for linguistic reorganization of states. They wanted language to be adopted as criteria. Linguistic reorganization of states. We'll come to reorganization separately. Clear? Change paragraph. Clear? Like the whole military adventure. The whole military adventure in Hyderabad. Was codenamed as, right with inverted comma, Operation Polo. Just because of horsemen, yeah, codenamed as Operation Polo. Clear? That due to quality training of horses and horsemen, due to quality training of horses and horsemen, large number of barracks existed. Large number of barracks existed in Hyderabad. Barracks existed in Hyderabad. And to utilize this infrastructure, the National Police Academy, NPA, the National Police Academy was permanently shifted to Hyderabad. In 1974 from Mount Abu in Rajasthan. From Mount Abu in Rajasthan. Clear? That in praise of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. This institution was formally named as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. This institution was formally named as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy. Clear? Change paragraph. Right. It must be noted that the report submitted by Sundar Lal Committee was made public by the government of India. In 2013. In order to avoid, much later, any major backlash. B-A-C-K-L-A-S-H. Backlash. Clear? Now, apart from this, why 2013? Why not earlier? Why not now, after 2013? Because at that time, the demand for separation of Hyderabad, including Telangana, was at its peak. Clear? So just to make it clear that if it is separated, clear, Andhra Pradesh will not have anything to do with it. It was made public in 2013 and 2014 on 2nd of June. Government of India created Telangana as a separate nation state apart from Simandra region comprising of coastal Andhra and Rayalaseema. Clear? We'll discuss about this reorganization, which is largely based on geographical factors. The most important being division of the water of rivers Krishna and Godavari. Clear? 67% of the catchment area of these two rivers confined in Telangana. Clear? They wanted to check this water for irrigation, which was not possible in unified state of Andhra Pradesh. Clear? This became a major geopolitical reason for separation of Telangana from Andhra Pradesh. This is a topic of political geography. Clear? We'll come to reorganization of states. Since time was only for 1 hour, clear? We have discussed integration of two princely states. We'll discuss integration of some more important strategic princely states, the most important being Sikkim, even though being small, very strategic in nature, and other states as well. Clear? Just give me 1 hour tomorrow also. Same time, clear? 3 to 4. We'll continue with other princely states, and then we'll move on to reorganization of states in post-independent era. Clear? Okay, thank you. We'll come to Sayyid Amir, Bangladesh and chicken. We'll discuss chicken neck area tomorrow. Clear? Kashmir youth in support of Pak. That is a later development. India had food shortage. Yeah, Ritika Singh. That's right. Clear? See, we are taking topics related to integration of princely states. Clear? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.